So, what we're going to do here today is rough cut a bunch of images to set up for a project. Now this is useful for all sorts of things. I'm going to tailor this one to the mythical animal project where I put a bunch of animal parts together, but really this is good for anything. So the first thing that I've done is I've actually created a project here. I've resized it. I'm 3300 by 2550, that standard US letter 300 ppi. I've got a base animal that I'm going to attach things to. Some things about this I want to keep in mind. I can see the whole animal. That's very useful. Sometimes the feet will be covered up in grass. That's okay, assuming that in your final one they'll also be covered up in grass. You just have to keep that in mind. But in this case I can see the whole animal here. And then I've brought in a bunch of other images. I've just copied and pasted these in. So these are possibilities. So I've got a face of a lion, the tail of a crocodile, the head of a crocodile, and a picture of my sister. Not really. So these are all things that I might use. Now as I look at these, I want to see if they're actually going to fit on my animal. So for instance, it's useful if they're going the same direction or close to the same direction. A couple of these things are pretty easy. My cheetah here is sideways. So this would probably not work. The problem is that if you look at how I'm going to attach this to it, I need to make sure that one, the direction is kind of similar, and it's maybe, I mean, if you think about the lion's head turning towards you, that might work. But part of what I also need is I need to have some overlap between the shapes. In order to blend the textures, to blend this lion's head into this cheetah, I need some overlapping textures, and I just don't have any of this part of the lion's head built out. But I'm going to show you something else I can do with this in a different video that's actually very amusing. So that one's not going to work. Picture of my sister here. This one is facing the wrong direction. This is not a problem. All I have to do is go up to the flip tool, click on this. It defaults to horizontal. I click on this, that flips it around. This one might be a possibility. You can see here I've got a bunch of stuff over here built into it that I could use as a blending area. So that might work. I'm going to have this one of a jumping crocodile. The angle's a little bit off, but that's not a big deal. That one will work. And then I've got the croc tail. So once I have these things, I'm going to rough cut and just see if these things work. What I mean by rough cut is a non-careful cutout. So I'm going to grab the head, and I can either just draw with my mouse, or if I want to, I can just click and this will do straight lines. I'm not worried about being careful at this stage. I just need to get it. Get extra. Always get extra. It is better to have too much than too little. Go back to my starting point. There we go. Copy that. Paste that. Go down to my new layer button for my floating selection layer. That one's done. Going to get rid of that piece. Just made it invisible. Okay, in fact, that's my original one over here, this one. I'm just going to take this, I call this dragging this to the basement. I drag it down below my base color, or my base layer, so it's out of the way. So this one, I'm going to rename this, oops, in caps so it's easier to read. Croc head, cut, sure, that'll work. And I'm going to move this down here in front of my cheetah. And I can rotate this thing, a little Shift R. Rotate that. Okay. Move. Okay, that's got potential. I'm going to leave that there for now. And I'm going to go to my croc tail. Same thing. Going to rough cut it. Oops, wrong layer. There we go. Now it doesn't matter that I started the cutout here before I got to the right layer because the selection will stay. Once again, notice I'm getting extra. It is better to have too much than too little. Too much, you just erase it off later. Too little, you're probably starting over or desperately trying some way to band-aid it so it actually works. Don't do that. Okay, copy paste. There's my floating selection layer up in the upper right. I come down, hit my new layer button, which by the way is Command Shift N if you want to know the shortcut. I take my croc tail, drag it into the basement. Take my new croc tail here, croc tail, cut. Okay, drag this down. Go to my move tool. Now it's going off the side of my page. Not a problem. I can always fix that a little bit later. Let me zoom out. I could always enlarge this or shrink the cheetah down or whatever. I can fix that problem. That's not a big deal. So in fact, all I have to do here, go on my cheetah layer, Shift T, which is the shortcut for scale. Make sure my chain is linked. Shrink this bad boy down a little bit. Scale it. M for move. Move him over here. Okay, croc tail cut. M for move. There we go. Now it fits. I'm probably going to get rid of this anyway. Go to my croc head cut. Shift T for scale. See how useful those shortcuts are? Scale. M for move. Move that up. Now I can look at this thing and say, okay, alright, this is working. Okay, I can see that all my pieces here are going to fit together pretty well. Obviously I'll have to get rid of the cheetah's original tail and some other things, but as far as getting my rough cuts go, this is working pretty well for me. So I'm going to stop here.